What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode for the Men in Uncaged. If you don't know, this channel is all about the journey to the top 1%. And how do we get there? It's by becoming 1% better daily. And share a quick win. I know last week I spoke prematurely. I recorded that episode before the end of the year, and I was already stating the fact that we were going to hit our goal. And I wanted to congratulate the men in Uncaged, both the free group and the VIP group, for rallying together for us to hit that goal. We did hit the goal. Now, obviously, the most important thing for us is to actually retain those members, right? It's easy to get caught up in the moment when you hear a bunch of people talking about sponsorships and this and that and the opportunity to take advantage of this, but it's another thing to actually do the work and actually take it to the next level, which is actually something that we're going to be talking about today. Since I've already kind of time-stamped this episode, we're in the time of this whole new year, new me phenomenon, right? And as is at some point in your life, New Year's resolutions are important for you to make. But once we move past that, we have to start getting into actually learning to apply some of this inspiration and motivation, discipline, whatever you want to call it, into actual action outside of it being the first of the year, the first of the month, the first of the quarter, on a Monday, whatever the case is. Like deciding you want to do something and moving forward with that, which part of that is to, I need to preface, actually, we're very big in Uncaged, like anti-guru club. And if I were to peel back some of the layers of that onion, it's not that we dislike gurus, but there is definitely a specific way you need to handle telling other people what to do and how to do it. And part of that is thinking that it's your way or the highway. The cool thing about Uncaged is we come from such an eclectic group of men, all different walks of life, all different personalities, all different personas. There's something to learn from everyone. And a lot of people have achieved success. And again, in Uncaged, we talk about success being multifaceted. It's not just money. It's not just your relationship with your family. It's not just your spirituality. Like there's so much stuff that goes into what we would truly consider someone successful. And for some people that looks completely different. And throughout that process, they've achieved quote unquote success in many different ways. So the anti-guru club is a kind of a testament to the fact that just because anyone says anything doesn't mean that it's 100% going to work for you. It might point you in the right direction, but you may have to make some small tweaks and changes to make it fit your life, your lifestyle, your personality, your learning, your learning behaviors, whatever the case is. And so throughout this process for today's episode is like understanding truly what it takes to become successful. Again, some people say it's deeper than inspiration and motivation, right? You can be motivated or you can be inspired, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to become successful. And then there's also discipline, right? So like that's kind of the next tier up that most people start harping on. Like once the inspiration and the motivation dies off and you're now stuck spinning your wheels, getting nowhere, and you're wanting to give up, you are burnt out, whatever the case is, it then becomes the discipline and or your character or the type of man that you are that pushes you past that, right? And so in this like era where it's top line awareness of some of these New Year's resolutions or this new year, new me, or whatever the case is, that like maybe you have fallen victim to thinking that now is your time. Like now's your chance. This year's going to be better than the last year. This year's going to be better than the last year. Whatever it is that you have mentally told yourself. I'm not here to shit on that. I am here to set proper expectations, though at some point we have to graduate from that type of thinking, because I look back on some of the people that I've known year over year over year over year, and I'm seeing the same fucking posts every beginning of the year. Or I should say really the end of every year, talking about the beginning of every year. Sorry, my mic keeps cutting out. I don't know why. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. I'm watching my my equalizer go red every once in a while. But you know, you see people make the same post end of every year, like, "Oh, this year was shit. Next year's gonna be my year." Or you know, there's whatever that like really popular one is like, "Oh." And they'll name like whatever it was like 3 years ago. That was what broke me. And then, you know, last year's what built me, and this year was like me redefining or whatever. And then there's like next year, talking about, you know, a couple of days from now, right? Or a couple of days from the post, is that's going to be my year. But then the end of that year, they're going to make that same post again. They're just going to change the fucking dates. And then the next year, they're going to do it again. And then they're going to change the dates, right? And then you'll see, you know, at the beginning of the year, the time that we're in live as I'm recording this episode, you know, you'll see all these guys where, you know, a little bit more than a week out, you know, 9 days into the year at the time of this recording, 10 days when it drops, you know, so you got enough time for some people to have tried some of that stuff and realize that maybe it was a little bit harder than they expected, right? Maybe they got a little bit more pushback than they expected. Objections were a little bit stronger than they thought. You know, whatever the case was, it's going to be a little bit tougher than they thought. So yes, they set these audacious goals, but that's all they did. They didn't do any other planning on what happens when shit gets tough. And I was kind of just joking with another one of the VIP members. Uncaged now has an executive assistant, and we actually hired it through one of the VIP members. Hired him, sorry. And, you know, throughout that process, I was actually joking with him because I sent him everything that I had done to prepare for this executive assistant to come in and start helping push Uncaged in the direction that we needed some assistance. And he was blown away with like the amount of planning that we put in place to prepare us for this executive assistant and the roles and responsibilities that we're going to be taking in. However, one of the statements that stuck with him that I had said was, I wish I had been prepared to be unprepared. Because as a business owner and as someone that focuses on efficiency and really truly tracking my progress and the setting goals and then reverse engineering those goals into action steps for like day to day, I knew this time was coming, that an executive assistant was going to step in to help offer some resources so that I personally could buy back some of my time to focus on taking Uncaged where it needs to go. But then, you know, I really personally and professionally, like I try to be as efficient as possible. Example, hiring an executive assistant. And throughout this process, this last week, I have been so honestly, just unprepared. Like I thought I was prepared. I have all the assets and everything needed. I have all the SOPs. I have the calendar and schedule built out. I have the SOPs integrated, like everything. I couldn't have been more prepared, I don't think, without just understanding the concept that I was going to be unprepared. So to that point, I've been sitting here like in a normal day-to-day, I know what I'm doing. I know what action steps I have to have. I know what critical tasks need to be done. Like I almost go into autopilot. And now with this addition, it's almost pulled me out of that. I have to think in a different mindset, and I have to do things that aren't in my typical day. And it has caused me to kind of throw myself off, right? I have been just sitting here thinking like, fuck, what do I need to do next? You know, I'm starting to offload some of my day-to-day tasks and week-to-week tasks and month-to-month tasks. So now that some of those are getting accomplished without me having to do it, I'm sitting here wondering like, well, fuck, what now? And then so it's really created this very strange atmosphere for me in this work week. And I've started to notice that some other guys are going through a similar thought process, but in a different scenario where, okay, it's a new year. they've got a whole brand new year or a whole brand new additional year of experience under their belt if they've been in business for more than just this year. And so they're experiencing growing pains, right? And so you start to pay attention to what some of these guys are now having to learn or relearn as far as what their day-to-day life looks like. And so you get a lot of questions of people, basically, how do I start tracking this progress, or how do I keep from getting burnt out? And so we've started to have a lot of conversations in Uncaged, just even 9-10 days in the year already, where we've really had to help some of these guys understand how to schedule out their day and how to set their day up for success, so that we don't have to have these same conversations a year from now, so that they're not having to share posts at the end of this year, the same ones that they did last year and the year before and the year before. Like, we were really trying to give these guys the opportunity to grow. And so with that said, a lot of this is, what are we going to do differently this year? The definition of, insanity. Sorry, my mic is messing up. The definition of insanity is, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different, reaction or a different result. And that's what a lot of these guys do. And so when we step in to understanding this whole new year, new me concept, is there's not going to be a new you without new action steps, without new progress, without new tasks, without new tasks being accomplished. And so for you, again, anti-guru, I'm not saying that this has to work for you. What works for me is having a task list, is being able to physically check things off. And we kind of talked about it, in the VIP group chat. It can be on a pad and pen. It can be on a Word document or a Google Sheet. It can be on the Notes app on your iPhone, the Notes app on your iPhone. It can be the Critical Task Accountability Program that Uncaged offers, like, you name it. But what's awesome about these things is you start to be able to check things off. And this gives you a dopamine hit that tells you to keep going. It gives you that motivation to continue going. And like I said, we've already established that, motivation and inspiration is part of the puzzle piece. Because like I said, some gurus will tell you motivation and inspiration will get you from here to your dream life. Some people say, fuck motivation and inspiration. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your discipline. And some people will tell you 5-10 other things. I think it takes a culmination of all of this, because sometimes motivation and inspiration can help you become more efficient with your discipline, right? However, discipline being a huge piece of the foundation of success and growth and forward progression and compounding growth and anything else that you want to put in there, is understanding that you have a clear path. Now, it might be clear now. That doesn't mean that it gets confusing down the road. That does not mean that we make it 6 months down this path and then we have to start making a pivot. We have to start making a change. For example, hiring this executive assistant. Again, I was talking, shout out Chris Keeley. I was talking with him about this entire process. And the cool thing about this is, in current pace, training other people. I have trained many people in previous organizations that I have, been an employee for, I have been a part of, a partner of, or I owned the organization outright. I don't have a problem with training people. However, with this executive assistant and the roles and responsibilities that Uncaged has, it's like a Swiss Army knife. It's very hard for me to sit down and think, oh, cool, like I have this task. It only takes me an hour or 2 hours a month to accomplish. So of course it's easier for me to just do it myself instead of training someone on doing it. However, I know that it's easy now or easy later, right? Which is what you have to pay attention to when we start talking about this like whole new year, new me. Like, it's easy to make the posts. It's easy to tell a bunch of people that you're going to go do this, do that. But it's not easy doing the fucking work. But you start to choose what you call easy. Do you want the easy now or do you want the easy later? So when you start to really break some of this down, that's a big part of some of these internal conversations we've had with some of the men in VIP, is because there are steps to get from where you are to where you want to go. And in order for you to figure out if they work for you, you have to go down that path. Again, we're not saying that any path that any of us sends you down is going to be the right path. We can tell you what has worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. And you can take that information and apply it. And then you can go down one of those paths and see if that works or if it doesn't work. However, you have to do the work. There's no magic pill, and immediate action beats perfect procrastination all the time, because you're going to be in the same situation 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now, as you are at current pace, if you don't ever actually take that first step. And, we've a couple of the round table calls, we've got a few guys that are new into business, right? And I've told them, it's funny, you, as a service provider, I have to let them know that, like, at current pace, bro, you're going to be, and I'll just use electrician as an example. You're going to be a great electrician, but you're going to be a fucking shitty business owner. Like, unless you've actually held that role and learned those lessons, you're going to be bad at it. So setting those proper expectations, not to kill yourself, not to beat yourself self up over it, not to become unhinged when it comes up, because it is going to come up. This allows us to set the proper expectations now and prepare for the future. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you are facing right here, right now, which is why I wanted to have this conversation today, tomorrow, when this drops, is this whole new year, new me mindset. You might have it now, but now it's time to mature in this thought process, because you have to understand what it takes to succeed. You have to understand that it's going to get harder before it gets easier. Like, you can use all the analogies, you can all use all the cliche, statuses. But what you are about to experience, if you truly want to change, you have to change. Okay? We're not talking about insanity here. If you want to continue making the same fucking post again at the end of this year as that you made just 2 months ago, a month ago, then keep doing the same shit. But if you're listening to this and you have this like thought in the back of your head, maybe you're feeling convicted, so your chest is a little bit warm, your heart might be beating a little bit harder, because you know that there's this thing that you have to do. There's this painful thing. There's this painful thing that's about to happen. You're about to stop doing some. This microphone's about to drive me nuts. You got to stop doing some, motherfucker. You got to stop doing. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it's doing that. You have to stop doing something. You have to start doing something, whatever that is. I don't know what that looks like. Only you know, right? But you have to take that information that's inside of you, that is that you are thinking of right now, and you have to do the work, because none of us are going to do it for you. No one's coming to save you. And you can sit here until you're blue in the face and tell me what all your dreams are. But what has gotten you to where you are now is not going to be what gets you to where you're going. So you have to evaluate yourself. You have to do a self-audit on everything that you are doing in your life, currently, personally, and professionally, and say, where am I currently? Where do I want to go? And what is the differential there? Because now you will have a clear guideline and a clear map. Again, as you start down this journey, don't expect that you're going to make 100% right at the choices. You're going to start down this journey, and you might make it a couple of months. You might make it a couple of years, and then you start to realize that there is a better option, something that runs a little bit more parallel but gets you to your dream goal quicker or more efficiently or in a better mindset, whatever the case is. This is the things that we teach in the 30-day challenge, especially on the whiteboard scenario, on how to achieve some of this stuff. But once you start to progress, you have to truly understand the foundation of like what change looks like. If you truly want this to be like a new year, new me, new year, new you, then you have to do something for you. You have to do something to change who you are for the better, to improve upon it, because you have, congratulations, you've gotten here. If you're watching this episode, it's because you clearly care about some sort of personal development, which is going to be massively important to set the proper foundation for where we are. But if we don't want this to be a fad, if we don't want this to die off in the mid-March, if we truly want to continue this on, and if you've been in Uncaged for any sort of amount of time, you probably have already set your 2025 goals. You should have. And so if you truly want to hit those, the only difference between where you are now, right here today, watching this episode, and December 31st of 2025, and I'm talking about all those goals that you set out to accomplish, the only difference is this, the work to get there. You have today, you have the end of the year. The only difference between those 2 days is the amount of work it takes to accomplish that in between. It's literally that simple. Guys, I hope this means something. I hope you took something from this. If you need me to divulge more into this, if you want to continue on a conversation, jump in the free group, jump in the VIP group, jump in my DMs, whatever. Let's continue this conversation, because I believe wholeheartedly in this. I have very audacious goals at the end of 2025. Y'all saw what we did with the goals for 2024. We hit them, but that wasn't by accident. We had our eyes on the prize. We did everything that we could to make sure that we ensured that we hit it. And we knew from where we were back at the beginning of the year to the end of it, the only fucking difference was the work that it took to get there. So if you're going through this whole new year, new me mindset, and you want to actually have a new you, this is how you do it. Guys, we'll see you on the inside.